Dr. Shabir Ali claims that Jesus was put on the cross, but he didn't die, that he swooned, passed out, and walked out of the grave later.
But in my humble understanding, Sophia, it could be that the Quran is merely denying the execution part, meaning that it's fine if they put him. Well, it's not fine, but if they put him on the cross, that does not negate what the Quran is saying. The Quran here seems to be saying they did not finish their intended purpose they did not accomplish their purpose of killing him by putting him on the cross. Somehow God rescued him. Could be that he swooned. They thought that he was dead, and they took him down, put him on the tomb, and there in the coolness of that airy chamber, he revived, of course, by the miraculous intervention of God. And then he was, absent from the tomb simply because he had come back to life. And
Did you get that? According to Dr. Shabir Ali, Jesus was crucified but survived. He didn't die. He was taken down and put in a tomb, and God performed a miracle to help him to recover. He uses this to simply reconcile Surah 4 verse 157 without denying the crucifixion event entirely. Surah 4 verse 157 is only approximately 40 Arabic words. And only way Shabir Ali is trying to reconcile that with the history is simply saying, well, Jesus Christ survived the crucifixion. But Shabir Ali's explanation doesn't work. Not logically, not historically, not medically, and not theologically. Let's break it down. Let's look at Surah 4 verse 157. Flat reading of this verse denies crucifixion. They did not kill him, no, they crucified him, but it was made appear so to them. Oh, Wallahi, Allah has lots of questions to answer just regarding this verse. If Jesus was actually nailed on the cross, that's a crucifixion, okay? Just being nailed to cross is crucifixion. So how can the Quran says they did not crucify him? Dr. Shabir Ali is trying to have it in both ways, but that completely crushes the word of Allah itself. If Jesus was actually put on cross, even if he didn't die, the Quran would be wrong to say they did not crucify him. You can't be crucified without being crucified. That's how it is. You can't say they didn't crucify him, but they kind of did. So either the Quran is factually wrong, or Dr. Shabir Ali's interpretation twists the plain meaning of the verse. There are historical problems with the Shabir Ali's interpretation. So swoon theory. It is simply recycled argument from 18th to 19th century so-called rationalist thinkers. The idea that Jesus was fainted and woke up later was promoted by rationalist thinkers, not by the Quran, not by early Islam, not even mainstream Muslim scholars like Tabari, Ibn Kathir, Al-Razi. They supported Tabari, Ibn Kathir, they supported the substitution theory that someone else was made look like Jesus and that somebody died on his place. So Shabir Ali's view has no grounded in Islam, has no ground at all. This view is simply against Islam. But, well, he needs to reconcile 40 Arabic words with the history. Therefore, he goes outside of the Quran, outside of the Islamic tradition, outside of early Muslims, and then goes to the rationalists and then come up with such arguments because he knows Quran made a huge mistake. Medical evidence simply shows that this so-called swoon theory is absolutely very stupid. That's how it is. So Jesus was beaten severely. He was scourged. Scourging alone could kill. Scourging alone could kill. Think about it. Shabir Ali is a scholar. I am sure he has seen lashing of Muslim woman. And Muslim woman is getting lashed and they are covered, okay? Scourging is your bare skin. So when Muslim woman is being lashed, she would go home and then she would get medical help, and she is in bed for a couple of days. That's just from lashing, because it is very, very bad. Scourging could alone kill. Bare skin, very, even imagining is very painful. Jesus was nailed on the cross. That means there was blood lost. There were shocks. Jesus Christ was crucified for hours. He wasn't on the cross just for like 5 minutes cup of coffee. No, he was on the cross for hours after being scourged, after being beaten. And John chapter 19:34 expresses that when they put the spear in his sides, blood and water came out. That's the sign of death. So, saying that Jesus survived from crucifixion is simply, like as I said, like absurd. People did not survive from Roman crucifixion. It was designed to ensure you are dead, not you fainted. No, it is there to make sure you are dead. Even atheist historians like Ludeman or even Bart Ehrman, he is very famous and very much supported by Muslims. He agrees Jesus' death by crucifixion is one of the most certain facts of ancient history. It's not Jesus' faint. It is not Jesus' coffee break or anything. Jesus' death by crucifixion is one of the most certain facts of ancient history. So if Shabir Ali is correct, not only is the Quran misstating the history, but Jesus survived what no one else did without a medical care, okay? And then walked around 3 days later. That itself would look like a miracle resurrection, unintentionally supporting the Christian claim there. But facts do not change. Historically, crucifixion was designed to kill, not to bruise your ego, or not to give you a cup of coffee, or not to give you break from people. Jesus was whipped, scourged, nailed, hanged for hours, and pierced in his sides. Medical experts and historians agree that Jesus died on the cross, and that's historical fact. That's historical fact. The swan theory has been debunked over 200 years. It is just wishful thinking, not scholarship at all. It is wishful thinking. Here's another reason why it is very stupid to support swan theory. Jesus' post-crucifixion appearance pointing to resurrection, not to recovery. Okay? If Jesus survived from crucifixion and appeared to his disciples, wouldn't he look like brutalized and weak and barely alive after going through all that suffering? Why would the disciples then worship him and go die for their belief in his resurrection? The resurrection appearance of Jesus shows glorified and transformed Jesus, not half-dead man crawling out of the grave, or not someone who just fainted trying to figure out what's happening. So either Jesus really died and resurrected, that is historical view and Christian view, or Islam's he didn't die, just to avoid the obvious. Think about it. If Jesus survived the cross, walked out of the tomb 3 days later, and convinced his disciples that he defeated death, don't you think that looks like the resurrection? So ironically, Dr. Shabir Ali's theory ends up sounding more Christian than Muslim. But let's be clear, Dr. Shabir Ali, you cannot say Jesus wasn't crucified, then say he was, but not really. You can't reject the resurrection and then describe one. Either Jesus died and rose again, or the Quran is wrong. Well, Dr. Shabir Ali's theory doesn't save either. Lord Jesus Christ, King of universe, logic of cosmos, died on the cross by crucifixion, and on the third day he walked out of that grave. Why? Because through his wounds you can be healed.